What's going on, boxing fans? It's Jordan Williams with The Distance. I'm back with another video. This one's for Ransom Plan 13. Kind of a funny fantasy matchup. You have two extremely big heavyweights, with big bellies and stuff. You got Butterbean versus Tony Galento. Heavyweight fight. For those who don't know who Tony Galento is, Tony Galento was a heavyweight fighter back in the 30s and 40s. Had two high-profile matchups against. They weren't necessarily high-profile, but he had two big matchups against Max Baer and Joe Louis. And on top of that, if you look towards the end of his career, he knocked out Classy Freddie Blassie, that wrestler, pencil neck geek. Anyway, I don't even watch wrestling no more, but other than that, Tony Galento was a boxer back in the 70s, and he had kind of a brawling style. He wasn't necessarily your technical boxer, but he's one of those guys he's probably one of those guys you want by your side when you're at the bar, and drinking the beer, and you see those rednecks in the bar who love to drink and stuff. Galento's probably seemed like one of those guys you just want on your side, when you're against those type of people. And Butterbean, super heavyweight boxer, king of the 4-rounder. Butterbean, known for his knockout power. He did like kickboxing and mixed martial arts as well. So he didn't just do boxing. He did other stuff as well. But he first started out as a boxer. And he kind of came out in the 90s. I guess became big. Big super heavyweight fighter. He's like 416 pounds or whatever as a fighter. Eats like a fucking pig. Eats like an animal. I shouldn't be talking because I eat like an animal too. Haven't had my honey bun today, but anyway. Butterbean, is known, as the king of the 4-rounder. But something that's always going to stand out, is the fact that he's never been past 4 rounds, only two times. Only twice in his career has he been past 4 rounds. He had a 6-rounder and he had a 10-rounder against Larry Holmes. And against Larry Holmes, I think Larry Holmes won like every round of the fight until he knocked down Holmes in the 10th round. But Holmes actually, pretty much just beat him. But if you look at Butterbean's style, Butterbean was kind of like the fighter that would stand straight up, hands, like this. I can't really do an imitation of Butterbean because I'm not fat, but kind of come forward, and then all of a sudden just get the knockout, throwing the right hand. Has a lot of power in that right hand. I don't think he fights anymore today, but he had a lot of power in the right hand. And with his size, did a pretty good job of cutting off the ring. But then again, these aren't necessarily your top quality heavyweight fighters. If Butterbean fought like a Vladimir Klitschko, he would have gotten his ass whooped. It's as simple as that. He wasn't fighting normal heavyweight. He's gonna stay at super heavyweight. Tony Galento is actually smaller than the Klitschko's in his prime. Even though he had that big round belly, he's actually smaller than the Klitschko's and Areola. In his prime, because he was weighing like 235 in his young years. He was weighing about 235. 235 was like 244 against Bayer. So he's actually smaller than some of these heavyweights out there. Definitely smaller than Solis. Solis was 275 his last fight. But anyway, off the subject of weight, this fight, this is one of those fights that's definitely gonna end in knockout. You can't, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But it depends, though. Would it be a 4-round fight or would it be a 10-round fight? Galento, even though he was big and chubby, he could last a full 10. But Butterbean, I'm not sure if he's lasted the full 10. But is he willing to go full 10 with somebody that's gonna fight him? Somebody's gonna land their shots off and constantly be there all night. Can Butterbean do that? Though Tony Galento was knocked out like 26 times in his career, what does this mean in this fight? What relevance does it have in this fight? Well, one, Butterbean is a big, strong puncher. And two, Butterbean knew how to close the gap and zero in. But Tony Galento was the type of fighter that moved. He didn't necessarily have, that side-to-side movement, but, he pretty much let in with that hook. But at the same time, Butterbean kind of leads in with a hook as well. So this match is a little bit of trouble to analyze if you kind of get around the fat part. The fact of the matter is this: I don't know how they're gonna fight on the inside, because if their bellies touch, then none of the punches will even land. So it's like some way, somehow, Galento would have to come from the outside, come on the inside, and land his left hook, which is what he threw the most, which is what he let in, which is what he let in with all the time, was the left hook, the left hand. His power was in his left, Butterbean's power is in his right. So anyway, if I gotta make a prediction for this match, if it's a 4-round fight, I'd give it to Butterbean. I'd say Butterbean would win it in a 4-rounder by unanimous decision. I think Galento could go 4 rounds. I think Galento would go 4 rounds with Butterbean, and Butterbean does okay in 4 rounders, whatever. But in a 10-rounder, I think Galento, I think his style, I think with his style, the fact that Galento does move around, and wasn't necessarily, the best boxer in the world, but he moved around and he knew how to get his, shots off, even if it was extremely wide or extremely wild. Knew how to get that shot off, and sometimes it would land. I think that in a 10-rounder, I think that Galento would beat Butterbean in a 10-round fight. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on that fight. That fight's not even a boxing match. That's a pure all-out bar brawl, pretty much, if you ask me. But I'm gonna go with Butterbean in a 4-rounder. 10-rounder, I'll go with Galento. Anyway, off this bloodbath. Thanks for watching. That was Distance. Peace.